Have you ever watched your child rock while waiting for the doctor? Hum while walking through the grocery store? Ask the same question over and over? Or suddenly cover their ears when everyone else seems perfectly fine? At first glance, those look like completely different behaviors. But the more I learned about how our bodies work, the more I started wondering if they were all trying to accomplish the same thing. If they are, it changes the questions we ask. Instead of, how do I stop this behavior? We start asking, what's going on inside their body right now to cause that behavior? As we go through this series, you'll discover the body asks for different things at different times. Sometimes it's asking for rhythm. Sometimes it's asking for body awareness. Sometimes it's asking for predictability. Our job is to learn how to recognize those requests. Hi, I'm Diane Luzny. I help moms of autistic children who have already tried everything to improve their child's sleep. Together, we focus on practical, science-based solutions that don't rely on more medication, more expensive products, or adding more stress to family life. Have you ever asked yourself, why won't my child calm down? Or said any of these things? My child is exhausted, but they're still running laps around the living room. The more I tell him to calm down, the more wound up they seem. Bedtime gets closer, and somehow they have even more energy. If you've ever had one of those evenings, you're certainly not alone. Although today's video isn't specifically about bedtime, understanding what we're talking about today can help explain what happens at bedtime, during transitions, in busy environments, and many of the situations parents tell me are the hardest. My hope is that you'll leave with a bit more understanding of how the body works. Because when we understand what's happening inside the body, we'll make better decisions about how to support it. Point 1. Your child's body isn't trying to make life difficult. Our bodies are incredibly good at trying to protect us so we survive. The challenge is that we live in modern times and our bodies are working from old, gather your own food, no electricity, walk wherever you go type software. There's a disconnect. Imagine you were walking through the woods thousands of years ago and heard something moving in the bushes. Your body wouldn't calmly stop and think, I wonder if that sound means there's something dangerous. It would prepare you to move fast. Your heart would beat faster. Your breathing would change. Your muscles would tighten. Your senses would become sharper. That system is amazing when you're facing danger. The interesting part is that very same system also responds to things that aren't dangerous, but that your body experiences as needing to be alerted to. For some autistic children, that might be the flickering of fluorescent lights. For another, it might be a noise in the grocery store. For another, not knowing what's happening next. Or simply waiting in the waiting room with nothing to do except remember the previous appointments. The body isn't deciding whether something should feel difficult. It's simply asking at an unconscious level, do I need to stay ready? Is there a possibility of danger? That was the most important shift for me because it made me stop asking, can I make this child stop doing this? And start asking, I wonder what's happening inside their body. Once I started asking that question, a lot of behaviors started making more sense. Point 2, your nervous system toggle. Your nervous system is constantly switching between two main jobs. One helps you deal with challenges, the other helps you recover from them. You probably have heard these called fight or flight, or the sympathetic nervous system, and the rest and digest, or parasympathetic nervous system. Think of it like driving a car. You need the accelerator to move forward, but you also need the brakes to stop the car for refueling and for repair. If your child runs into the street, you don't want your body to stay relaxed. You want it ready to react without thinking. But after the danger has passed, you want the brake to then toggle in. That's when your body repairs itself and digests foods and learns and socializes and eventually prepares for sleep. Healthy bodies move back and forth between those two jobs all day long. The challenge is being able to switch between the two when needed. Many autistic children spend more time with that accelerator in fight or flight, not because they're choosing to. Their body may simply be getting that message that it needs to stay alert. That alerting message could come from bright lights, or loud or unusual sounds, unexpected changes, excitement, or uncertainty. Have you ever noticed that your child can be absolutely exhausted and still look as though they're wired and ready to tackle whatever surprise might be around the corner? That doesn't seem to make sense until you realize that being tired and feeling safe enough to settle are not the same thing, different issues, and that the nervous system toggles. As long as the alerting system is on, the relaxing system is off. Point 3, help the body before the behavior. When a child is running around the living room, humming loudly, rocking back and forth, or asking the same question for the 10th time, it's very easy to focus on the behavior. We naturally think, how do I get this to stop? And sometimes the behavior needs to be stopped. But often, that behavior is your child's attempt to help themselves. Think about yourself for a moment. Have you ever paced while talking on the phone? Tapped your foot or played with a pen during a meeting? Taken a deep breath before walking into a difficult conversation? Buried yourself into a blanket when you weren't feeling well? Those aren't random behaviors. They're things your body does because, in some small way, they help. Autistic children do the same thing. The difference is that their strategies may look different from ours, or may be more intense than ours. Rocking, humming, jumping, chewing, wanting to know exactly what's happening next. Those behaviors may all be helping the body cope with something. That doesn't mean every behavior should continue. Some behaviors aren't safe. Some interfere with daily life. Some need to be redirected. But before we decide what to do, it helps to ask, how might this behavior be helping my child? Because if we understand the job the behavior is doing, we're much more likely to find another way to meet the same need. And that's where real progress often begins. Not by stopping a behavior, but by understanding it first. What you can do. In this series, we aren't going to look at the environment and reducing stimulation. We are only going to look at less well-known and easy-to-do ways to calm a dysregulated nervous system. First, encourage your child to hum. Humming is interesting because it combines vibration with a longer exhalation. The throat vibration and the long exhale are both physically calming. Or, if humming doesn't work, what about making a comb kazoo by covering a comb with tissue or wax paper and then humming into it? That will also add another sensory level of vibrating lips against the comb. Second, try a cool or cold washcloth on the face or the side of the neck. It doesn't have to be cold, just cool. Some children find brief, cool pressure surprisingly settling. The face and the neck are rich with nerves that communicate to the body's alerting system. So for some children, gentle, cool input can help interrupt the wound-up feeling. Needless to say, if your child hates it, stop. Third, try enlarging their visual field. This one sounds almost too simple, but it can be helpful for your child if your child is stuck, frantic, or hyper-focused. Stand near a window or in a quieter part of a room and say, "What is the farthest thing you can see?" Then have them look at it for a full breath, an inhale and a longer exhale. Find another spot in the distance. Breathe again. Look at the object softly. There's no test on what they see. The body that feels threatened often narrows and shortens its focus to see immediate danger. Looking in the distance with a soft, relaxed vision helps relax the body and let it know it's not in danger. With all three of these, the goal is not instant relaxation or instant sleep. The goal is just to help the body feel that little bit safer. These are three different ways of giving the nervous system information that, for some children, helps it to move towards settling, to make your child's body move towards the safer end of the scale. By now, I'm sure you've noticed that it can feel like you have several different children wrapped up into one body, especially at bedtime. Perhaps one night your child is clingy, another night wired or shut down, or maybe recovering from a meltdown, or, the most magical of all, calm. Each of these states benefits from a different response from you. If you'd like a simple guide that walks you through those 5 common pre-bedtime states and gives you practical ideas for each one, you'll find it linked below. In the meantime, remember to keep the reframe in mind. My child's body isn't trying to make my life difficult. It's trying to survive. It's trying to solve a problem. The more we understand what that problem might be, the more likely we are to find a response that genuinely helps. A common response is movement, rocking, pacing, bouncing, jumping, running laps at exactly the time you wish their body would slow down. We look at why movement can sometimes help the nervous system settle and how to tell the difference between movement that organizes the body and movement that keeps the system more alert in the next video. See you there.